G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. I'm going to bring you one of my favourite types of games. As you can see, I'm sure from the timer on YouTube, it is going to be a longer game. Of course, these can lead us to new sorts of things that we can learn about late stage play. With these two players, these are two Korean players, and we're going to find out exactly what's going to go on very soon. But let's introduce the players. Starting down at the bottom right-hand side of Ohana is our Red Zerg player, who, unfortunately, this has become a real bane of being a commentator, is that you'll get replays from time to time, and people will say, "Oh, I beat this awesome player, look at this, watch this game." And then, you know, it's a barcode, one of these, you know, these newfangled barcode players with their names as a bunch of L's with random spaces and that sort of thing in it. It's actually quite annoying to deal with. So I was sent this, of course, by one of the managers of Team inFdtG. We'll jump over to that side in a sec. So we'll just call this guy Red Zerg or Red Zergy or Zerg, or I'm just gonna, yeah, we'll just go by that. We can pretend it's NEST, we can pretend it's DRG. You know, anyone like that, of course, as I said, I don't really know, and I wasn't able to find out. So, our Protoss player up at the top left-hand side in the blue, this is the ladder game, of course, is from Team inFdtG. Of course, you'll notice the inf on the front, that's for Team Inferno. This is Sickness, of course, one of my favorite all-time players because of some of his creative play and intense micro when it comes to Immortals and Warp Prisms and Colossus and all these types of things. It is crazy to see. So, as I said, Team Inf, there we go, just going to get that quick Nexus down because he did get inside and see that there was no spawning pool just as of yet. In fact, he didn't actually check the top side. I'm a little bit surprised he went for that just a little bit blindly, but either way, he's going to get that quick Nexus up, which is going to be quite nice for Sickness. But, as I was saying, Dream Team Gaming, as the team was formerly known, which of course I am a small part of, doing the cars for the guys and helping out with some of that kind of thing, has now partnered up with Team Inferno Esports, which is a team from Italy featuring some really great players themselves. They previously had sort of on the team, who you may have seen in the WCS Nordic games. I'm not exactly sure where he was playing, but he's been playing really well. Yeah, we got some really good players on Team Inferno, and I'm going to be doing some casts of those guys very soon as well, so be on the lookout for those. But of course, with the partnership comes a little bit more, you know, a little bit more viability of players to be doing some more gaming, so we'll probably see some more of the Dream Team Gaming guys playing all around the place. So you expect to see inFdtG a little bit more, and just interesting that Sickness is going to, I think he's going to do the full wall off here. I've noticed a little bit that the Koreans tend to prefer to just fully wall off this this type of ramp than a lot of sort of the more, well, I suppose the Western players do, the foreigners, with in terms of, wow, and Ling's actually getting through, causing a little bit of a problem here for Sickness, not on the ball with what he had there, but the Ling's getting inside, there they are, they're trying to pick off one of the probes, but Sickness doing some good micro, keeping them away from danger for the moment, but the Lings will find a random pylon to take down. So, as I was saying, sort of the full wall-off is something which the Koreans tend to do a little bit more than you do see the foreign players doing, so, as I said, not a huge surprise that Sickness has gone with this, but you know, it's still an interesting thing because, of course, it does mean that you have no way of actually getting a probe outside to scout out what's going on until later on, when either the rocks have been destroyed or one of these buildings has been removed. And given that one of the buildings is the Cyber, it's not going to be that one. There is, of course, a forge there as well, and it looks like the Lings are going to get up into the main base. Here they go. They do get inside. They're not going to cause too much of a problem because it's only 3. Sickness does have his gas started there. Some of the probes coming along to say, no buddy, you're not getting any shots off here. And looks as if the Lings are trying to get a little bit more damage. Do get one probe. One of the Lings is very low on health. He's actually got 1 HP. Zealot now coming back inside. He needs to stop this ruckus, and he will be able to do that, especially when there's a Stalker coming along as well. The Stalker going to try and take down this Overlord. Sure won't be able to do it, I don't think. I think there's a little bit too much. There is a sweet spot just around about here where the Overlord can sit and should be okay, but does he go down? Oh, can't get a shot of that. No, he doesn't. Survives with 1 more shot remaining. And Sickness is perhaps losing a little bit of focus here. It keeps his probes kind of alive, but these Lings have gotten quite a few kills here. As we can see on the worker kill tab, 6 kills in total for the Zerg, and that's Nothing to be ashamed of as well, especially just for those first initial lings. That's definitely worth their weight in minerals. And looks like the Sickness is going to just try and get everything back into shape as it was before, sitting at 30 probes at the moment, 42 for his opponent, who has now taken the third base. That hatch is a third of the way done. And he is just continuing to drone up quite hard. Now picking up those extra gases, of course. We do have the one inside the main, Roach Warren and Evo Chamber going down at a good time to make sure he's able to protect against any of those Protoss shenanigans that occur at around about the 8-minute mark. Should be able to get some of the Roaches out for that point. Meanwhile, just spreading out some of this creep, looking good with 3 active creep tumors. So it looks like Sickness is actually going for something a little bit different to what you normally see. We've got double Stargate going up. There's been a little bit of a thing. I'm going to call it a thing that's been going on where players will go for double Stargate, get like maybe 4 to 5 Void Rays out, head them across the map, and behind the pressure of those five Void Rays, which you don't normally see these days, you actually get carriers, you get a fast mothership, cover the third base in cannons and the mothership so it's cloaked, and then just sort of sit back and make carriers. Now, I'm not joking, I haven't actually done a replay of this, I don't think, because it's I haven't actually found like a sort of high quality top level replay, but it is something which has been going on a little bit from time to time, and I gave it a go myself as well, and it was a little bit of fun. But so I think that's going to be perhaps the plan here. It looks as if Sickness was able to keep the Overseer out from scouting of what's going on, and he does get out of there just in time, of course, with that very nice speed that they have and the extra little bit of health. And so he's not going to be fully aware of what's going on just yet. The Lings come across to the third base, so we will be able to scout out that there is no third base just as of yet. Sickness rolling off this rocked ramp, because of course he does need to make sure that it is protected for the time being, and it looks like we've got more drones coming along from our Zerg player down at the bottom side, picking up his 5th and 6th gases, so we will be getting a lot of gas income. So we may see this switch into, yeah, there it is, we've got an infestation pit already done with pathogen glands on the way, and he's up to a total of 62 drones. Needs a little bit more just to make that quite nice, but of course he can stop at around about 65 just to make sure that he's protected against any sort of robo or mass gateway style attacks, which have been the flavor of the day, I should say, for Protoss players at the moment. And it looks as if Sickness is going for a little bit of a different style here with this, with the double Stargate. We got 3 Voids out, we got some Phoenix coming along as well. There's more Phoenix behind all of this, but the Zerg has now seen that this is going on, will probably react very quickly, needs to get up at least 2 Spore Crawlers at each of his expansions just to make sure that he is protected, but he's getting a 4th macro hatch up. There is only 1 Spore Crawler here. At the 4th, there is a Hydra Den across to the side, as we can see, but the Queen gets picked up and she's going to go down quick smart, but there are some Infestors across the side. Now, what are these guys going to do? They're going to get picked up straight away by the Phoenix, and in fact, the Void Ray is focusing down the Spore Crawler. Both of those Infestors getting absolutely smashed there. Meanwhile, there is going to be a counter-attack up into Sickness's natural expand. There are a couple of sentries here. Not going to be enough to hold this back. I don't think there is so many units here, and with that high ground vision, Sickness will be in a bit of trouble. So the Void Rays have retreated. The Phoenix is still hanging out down here just to see if they can catch some of those random units, but an Immortal does pop out, and with this extra little wall here, that does slow down the Roaches just a tiny bit, and some good force fields helping out, slowing down the Roach progression inside the base here, but they do have a bit of leeway to take down a few buildings. Of course, the Forge did get taken down, one of the pylons now depowering that gateway, and the pressure is still coming here from the Red Zerg. The Phoenix, meanwhile, and the Voids are still trying to do some damage here. He may be able to get this third base. Some extra Spore Crawlers now coming along, trying to reassert themselves at this third base. If they can get down, they should be okay. But Sickness takes down the third base, and now with some more reinforcements here at the natural expand, Sickness is going to be in a little bit of trouble. No force fields going down. He's in a bit of trouble here, and it looks as if the Phoenix will come along perhaps to save the day with some few graviton beams. They should be able to get rid of the Roaches, and he should be okay. I think he'll be fine here, because there's not enough Roaches to actually get in there. While there are more units now streaming across the map, as we can see, these Roaches waddling their way up like penguins to the top side of the map, they're actually getting whittled down quite a lot, because the Voids have now retreated and will be able to cut off the rest of this attack. And in fact, the Roaches getting a little bit of extra damage done. I don't think some of these Stalkers should have died because they really shouldn't have been there in the first place. Somehow a Phoenix lifting up a Stalker to make sure that it didn't get hit. A little bit of, I'm not sure if that was an accident or some innovative play there from Sickness, but it's been an interesting trade. Let's have a look at what we've got. We've got Sickness on 96 supply, I should say. 115 is his opponent. His opponent is now getting the 3rd base up. We'll probably see him get the 4th hatchery up pretty quickly as well. And it looks as if he's maybe just heading across to the side to get some more damage done here, lifting up one of the roaches, taking it down. But the worker count is going to be the interesting part. We've got the Zerg on 60 workers at the moment. He's got +1 to missile attacks on the way. Of course, that was a bit delayed because he did have to get all of those units up to his opponent's base, and also has the Hydra Den there. We've got the 4th macro hatch here, and a 3rd almost near completion. So he's just trying to re-establish himself at the moment. Sickness, meanwhile, what is he up to? He's got a Colossus out. We've got another one on the way, so he should be protected against any more of those Roachling-style attacks. He's got 50 probes here working away inside the main and the Nat. He is going to head some of them down to the 3rd base in just a second, and it looks like we are going to have a forge wall. Okay, you don't see that every day, but there is going to be a forge wall at that expansion here. That's, as I said, not exactly the most common sort of way to wall off here, but the Lings and the Roach is actually just going to get inside regardless. The Colossus should be fine to help take down the rest of those units. A couple of Infestors here going to help out with a few fungal growths. Are they going to be able to? But Hydra's now coming along, of course. They do a lot of damage, and the Infestors putting down some beautiful fungal growths there, as we can see. Getting rid of some of the shields there on the Phoenix, but the Phoenix still alive. Hydra's trying to take them down. More Hydras coming in from the back. A beautiful fungal growth on top of the 5 Phoenix that remain for Sickness, but he will be able to fend this off with only the losses of some of his basic gateway forces here and a couple of those Phoenix. So he's continuing to get the Colossus numbers up. We're going to have a bit of a cannon wall here, which should be quite nice to help defend the next attack. +1 to armor on the way, of course. He did lose that first forge that he had, so he does need to try and catch up in those upgrades as quickly as he can. Meanwhile, for the Zerg, he does not have his 4th base just as of yet. There's an Infestor here pretending to be a hatchery, but sorry, buddy, you cannot collect minerals over here. And he's just sort of sitting in this spot where he's at the 64 mark with those drones, and he just needs to be a little bit careful with how he pushes further with these attacks. So Sickness, if he can get this base established, he'll put himself in a very good position. As everyone will know, a Protoss on 3 well-established defended bases is a very scary sight to behold. So we'll find out if Sickness is going to be able to get that momentum going again. Here we go. It looks as if a drone is heading across to take the 4th base there. The rock's being cleared out by some Roaches and Lings by the Zerg. So Dust and Brown are not going to be happy with that at all. And it looks as if, yeah, we've got a bit of a transfer of some of these drones because the main base is just about done in terms of all of its minerals. So Hive on the way. We've got, where is the, okay, so the upgrade's proceeding along. He's switched it over. He's getting +1 to melee now, +2 to Carapace. He's also on the way. The Spire just about to complete, but there is going to be an attack here by the Zerg. Is now just pushing through some Lings, Hydras, and Infestors. So at the back, there are a couple of Roaches thrown in for good measure, but of course that's only just a sprinkling of them. They won't be too useful just at the moment, especially when we've got this big army, very powerful army here. Is actually a little bit reminiscent of old style Protoss, where you would go for that Colossus Void Ray style laser beam party, where you'd have just so many powerful units here. The Colossus, of course, doing damage to all the Hydras and the Lings on the ground. The Void Ray is doing a lot of damage to anything in the air, and also protecting the Colossus against Corruptors. So it's just an interesting style here, and getting charged first. You don't often see a Protoss get charged before they get Blink, but of course, with the way this match is panning out, it's probably a much better decision than getting Blink, given that there's only a small amount of Stalkers at the moment, but there are a lot of Hydras and a lot of those Lings now, and the Zealots, when they get their charge, will be tearing up the Hydras, and as we can see, the Colossus is already doing a great job of that, just blasting away, burning up all those Hydras. It is a barbecue here at the top of Ohana today, but the 4th base has been established, so our Zerg player is going to be really boosting up his position right now. Once he gets that economy going, he's going to be in a good spot, and with the Ultralisk Den on the way, that's going to really give him another option in terms of his tech that he can use. With the Ultra Ultras available. That means that he can try and bust through those Zealots with the Ultras and then maybe do some more damage if there's some Broodlords at the back. We've got +2 to armor and +2 to weapons just about to complete for Sickness, so he's going to put his, +1 to weapons, I should say. Wait, what? Oh, right, okay, sorry. I misread that for a second there. So it is going to be 2-2 on those weapons. Storm is researching, halfway done. Charge is also done, so Sickness is going to be in a very good spot for his upgrades right here. With those Templars having Storm, these Ling run-bys are going to do nothing at all. Not like they were doing too much in the first place, though, because there are 4 Colossus out on the field. But I'm sort of waiting. Where is the Fleet Beacon? This is sort of the time when you would sort of expect that to come up, especially after a double Stargate opening. And we'll find out if he is going to get it in a second. There is one Burrow Ling here, which is going to cause a bit of trouble at the 4th base of Sickness. Does get rid of it, puts a Nexus down, and he's going to try and sort of get his army back into a good spot here. And he's really looking quite menacing now, especially with that 2-2. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage, and there is a Changeling not having a good time at all. But back at home, for the Zerg player, he's got a lot of Lings out. We've now got Banelings as well, morphing into some more Banelings here, as we can see these guys morphing in their cocoons. We've got Infestors and Corruptors. This is a very interesting mix. It's not, this game has sort of gone on a very interesting sort of turn, given the units that the players are getting. And now with Ultras being thrown in, this is not really a type of play that you see every day. Having all of those Banelings and Lings with no mutas at all. The Colossus, of course, will be countered by the Corruptors, but the Ultras are just being thrown in for good measure as well, which is just really nice. Of course, what that does is that allows the Zerg player to bust through any force fields that go up, which means that any units on the ground will not be protected when the Banelings start rolling through. Now, the thing about these Zealots is, of course, they're fantastic units. They do a lot of damage when they get in range, but the problem is when there are Banelings around, they do extra damage to light, and when these Banelings have +1 on their weapons, they're doing 39 damage. So just a few Banelings will be able to take this out, and it looks as if we are going to have an attempted flank by the Zerg player. He is going to catch out some of this Protoss force. There is a few feedbacks on the side and a good force field wall, but there it is, the Ultralisk just busting through, and it looks like Sickness is going to be absolutely thrashed here in this battle. Does lose all of those powerful Colossus to the big force of Corruptors and Ultras that busted through, with the Banelings on the ground, of course, causing a lot of damage. One Templar trying to be a hero, buddy, you are not Tassadar. And that means that this Zerg has been put in a very fine position indeed. He's done a good job protecting this 4th base with a few spines, some spores as well, getting the 5th base up and going to establish this. Once this is up and the gas is coming in for him, this is going to put him in a really nice position. But it looks as if he's also going to bust through and get into the 4th base here. A few Stalkers and some Zealots are going to warp in for Sickness, but the units actually burrowed. So actually, I don't know if he saw all of that, but either way, Sickness has got a lot of things on his plate to deal with. We've got Banelings, Lings, and Ultras and Corruptors in the middle. There's a very deadly force there. Check out this wall, the Great Wall of Sickness. Cannons embedded in a wall of forges, gateways, and pylons. Not every day you see that. But he's going to be able to just sort of hold up for the moment. If he can get the mothership out. Where is she coming from? She is coming from the 3rd base. There she is. Halfway done. If that comes in, this is going to really help out, but the problem is it's just this very sort of odd mix of units he's got at the moment. I really think he should use some more, throw in some more Templar here, but he has got, as in Archons, I should say. He does have a few Templar there. They're going to be able to storm in. Perhaps if he can get some good storms down on top of these Banelings, that would be quite nice. But now the Zerg pushing for this very deadly mix, where you've got these Broodlords up in the air, throwing down all sorts of damage with those Broodlings. He's got Ultras, and now more Banelings coming in as well. This is going to be an absolute Baneling party here for our Zerg player. He's now getting inside the 3rd base, going to check out what's going on. So you can see that there is that Great Wall of Sickness there, and is now going to take a little bit more damage. We did hear the mothership has just popped in. She's going to really help out here. The Ultras and the Broods now coming across. He's going to slowly make his way through. If he can get the Ultras underneath the Broodlords, he should be in a fine spot, but at the moment he's taking advantage of this position that he has here, and here we go. Looks as if the battle is going to commence. The Banelings off to the side. Beautiful Storms getting rid of most of those Banelings, so the Zealots stay alive for quite a while. A few Immortals have come out to help deal with the Ultras. They are taking down the Ultras slowly, but the problem is there is so much here, and with the Broodlords up in the air, our Zerg player is going to be doing a massive amount of damage. As we can see, the Ultras are not afraid of anything. They do have their +5 to armor, their +2 to weapons, and the Broodlords up in the sky will be cleaned out, it looks like, by a couple of Void Rays and, of course, the Mothership, but not enough to push through, but he did dispose of quite a lot of that Protoss army, and the Broodlords, however, are going to be taken down in their retreat, so we'll see if the Void Rays add up to a lot here, because they do have +1 on their air weapons, they've got +1 on their shields as well, not every day you see that. If the Ultras go down, here comes the Overseer to provide some vision for the Zerg. Does give him enough time to try and take down some of those units, gets rid of some of the Templar and the Stalkers that were there. Sickness has mined out his main, he has mined out his natural expand. The third is sort of halfway done. The fourth is, of course, nicely established, so he should be okay for now. The Zerg, meanwhile, has no mining back at the main base. The +1 to the air attack is just about done. Third is the Nat is no longer mining at all on the minerals. He does have a tiny bit of gas left over. Third, looking good. Fourth, also still good. And the fifth, of course, is in a very nice spot as well. So Sickness has had to switch his tech around again. We've got a lot more Stalkers now. Of course, they do extra damage to the Ultralists that come out. Not to mention he needs them to deal with the Broodlords that are now morphing in. 4 Broodlords just about to add to... Is there a rest of the Broodlord fleet? Oh, we can't hardly see that unit bar. There's so many units. There's so many different types. There's a random roach somewhere. Where is this roach? I don't know, there's a roach somewhere, which is very interesting at this stage, given the amount of tech switches we've seen. But Sickness trying to take advantage of the fact that he is a little bit more mobile at the moment, trying to clear out some of this creep spread. The Zerg has done a fantastic job. Look, it's even spreading up to the side parts, where you don't necessarily need it too much there. But the Queen, who is doing all of that job, has gone and seen everything go down. But now Sickness is going to lose his vision. So he did see that there was a big army here. We got 4 Ultras, we got some Broodlords off to the side, and now, what is this Infestor doing? I think this Infestor is he going to try and do some attacks at one of the bases? I'm not sure, but the possible 5th base of Sickness has been sort of obscured at the moment by a Changeling and a Ling burrowed in the ground, and oh, look out, the Infestor, here he comes, and comes out of burrow, grabs the Mothership, puts a Vortex down, and Vortex is some of the own Protoss units. Wow, that is incredible. You don't get to see that every day. Why did I press the chat button? But across at the 4th base, I should say, some Zerg units now pushing through. Broodlords off to the side. Banelings morphing in the shrubbery down to the bottom side of the base, so they'll come in once everything goes up. But one Vortex was available. Of course, that Infestor did not get to do everything it wanted to do, but the problem here for Sickness, he has no Archons. There are no real Archons to provide a good Archon toilet here, and despite all the units that were inside, there is a Storm. There it is. Good Storm's dealing with a lot of the Banelings, but there is still more down to the bottom here, and they start rolling in. It looks like Sickness has got a big battle on his hands. There are some Changeling Zealots there. The Stalkers trying to get underneath. The Broodlords are getting taken down. The Mothership is doing a great job, but she is starting to get low on shields, so we'll see if she gets taken out. No, the Corruptors get removed, and now, again, the Zerg is forced back. He's lost all of those, all of the sort of Mothership units that he had available, not to mention there are those 2 Void Rays which are still out. These guys have 11 and 14 kills, so they're doing quite nicely. The Broodlords attempting to retreat, but Sickness is still keeping himself in this. I'm really surprised that he is sort of held up all this time, and 1 Ultra doing a good job, but he splatters all over. Someone needs to get a mop, because that is a big mess there. But, yeah, so Sickness still keeping himself in this game. He's on 3-2-3 with his weapons, which is obviously quite nice. The Void Rays have 2 on their shields and 1 on their weapons. We'll have to see if Sickness decides to maybe start to make a bit of a switch to a little bit more Void Rays in his army. We'll have to find out soon. He is starting to get really low on gas, of course. As you can see, he's only really mining gas from the 3rd base and the 4th. But if the 4th is continually under a lot of pressure here, that may be in a bit of trouble very soon. So what's been going on for the Zerg? He's up to, he's still on these 5 bases. He's mined out the 3rd, the Nat, and of course the main. So he's sitting on an income of around about 1,500 minerals at the moment. It's 600 gas or so. And back across at the attempted 5th base for Sickness, loses that. The Banelings now coming in to deal some damage, taking down the cannon and a few of the units that were there. One Zealot is, one Ultralisk, I should say, is pumping away at these Zealots here, but the Zealots, by the weight of numbers, is able to hold back, and a secondary attack coming across at the 4th base here, and Immortal is out trying to deal with some of the Lings. Not the best usage of those, but the Nexus does go down to all of those Lings, and the Ultras here doesn't have, I don't know, it doesn't look like those Lings are attacking as fast as they would be. They do have +3 to weapons, but they don't have adrenal glands, so they're not actually hitting as fast as they could be, I don't think. So more Void Rays are being added into the army here. No more being produced just at the moment. As we said, Sickness starting to struggle with his resources. The Fleet Beacon is still alive, and that Nexus does go up again. So let's just have a look at where the upgrades are at. So yeah, as we're still waiting for +2 to the attack, and in fact not much has been done with the air upgrades here for the Zerg. He's of course got all of those Ultralisk upgrades done. Where is the spawning pool? No, it hasn't been done yet. Adrenal glands, just wanted to confirm that. So that's not done. 4th base is attempting to go up again. Some Lings heading across to the left hand side of the map, being charged at by those Zealots. They've put their Nikes on because they are running quite fast, and Sickness is doing his best to sort of just maintain composure at the moment. If he can establish this 4th base, keep it up, get that extra gas income from these guys here, he will be able to sort of stabilize for the moment. But as we said, late game in any sort of matchup, even in TvT to some extent, is a game of where it comes down to cost efficiency and being really good with your energy units. Now, we can see from the unit counter that the Zerg player only has this one Infestor. He does have obviously a lot of available energy there, but it's not really enough to sort of keep the battle flowing, because of course you'll need some good fungals, you'll need some perhaps a neural parasite on that mothership. But here we go, it looks as if he is going to try and come through, just randomly walking into the Protoss forces there. He may have been a bit unsure of where everything was, but he does get in eventually. The Ultralisk is trying to take down some of these probes. A good feedback on a Queen and an Infestor there, and huge storms coming out right on top of the Baneling army there, but the rest of them do get across. They will be able to take down some of these Stalkers on the right hand side, but perhaps not the best engagement there for the Zerg player. Now, something very interesting which you'll see now is that he is actually investing in Queens. We've got more Queens coming out than we do sort of the more standard units, because he's obviously getting very low on his gas. We've got no more gas coming in from the 3rd, or there's a tiny bit of gas left over in here, but the only gas that's coming in for this Zerg is at the 4th and the 5th. These extractors are still doing quite nicely, getting out as much as they can, but he's got to be very careful with what he builds, so he is starting to build up a few Queens. Now, we'll be interested to see if he keeps those with the army, or if he's just going to get those out for creep spread. I would assume they're going to be out there with the army, but it looks like there is going to be a possible run by into the main here. Of course, that Cybernetics core is exposed. If he hits that, he may be able to get some of the tech down, but he is going to get inside. Some Templar warping in there, perhaps a very daring warp in there, and the Archon is going to try and get in. I don't think it's going to survive. There it goes. But the Zealots, of course, with their 3-2-3 are going to do a lot of damage here. But the Lings have already done quite a lot themselves, taking down some of the pylons. Sickness starting to lose some of his max supply, but the Stargate's also under threat. And with a couple of units now coming in, he should be able to clean this up, but there is going to be another attack across at the 4th base. The Lings actually run by that storm. They've got their umbrella because they get past all of that. A vortex across to the side, holding up some of the rest of the units there, and the Banelings not really doing too much. The Queens have tried to come across, of course. As we said, they do have they've got good armor there. They don't necessarily have good damage on the rest of them, but the Ultras and a few Corruptors that were inside the vortex get torn apart here. A Void Ray also removed from the map, and it looks as if a storm goes down. Not every day you see storms on top of Queens. But there you go, some storms on top of them. The Queen's doing their best trying to get rid of the mothership, but these power units here are starting to really beef up for Sickness. He's got some Archons here, we've got Void Rays and the mothership back inside the main. The Lings were eventually cleaned up, however there are a couple still at the natural expand trying to take care of the Robo facility there. But now looking at the mining here, just at what is going on, we've got 18 workers for Sickness, all 18 basically sitting there at the 4th base. The rest of them have either been destroyed or just trying to get what damage they can do across at the what mining they can at the 4th base for the Lings, and we've got another switch. Banelings and Hydras now coming in, so he switched it across yet again. Really loving the tech switches in this game. What this will do is this will mean that he has a better answer for the mothership and of course the Void Rays up in the air, but he's got to be very careful. He doesn't want to get caught out by the fact that the Hydras are incredibly slow. They're slower than your grandma with a broken hip, and it looks like Sickness will have to just sort of be a little bit more careful with how he maneuvers around the map. He doesn't want to let these Hydras get in, and in fact the Hydra's finding a relatively exposed 4th base, but the rest of the units now coming back across, getting rid of those Hydras quite easily. And he is looking to sort of just move into this top section of the map. Why is he doing this? Shh, shh. He's taking this side expansion. No one tell anyone. That is a big secret. It's like right next to the Protoss base, but whatever. So Sickness is sitting on that 3-2-3 still. Of course, he hasn't actually powered up to the +3 to shields to make the badass triad of upgrades, but he is now going to have to deal with this base. He does not know that it is there just yet. As we can see, he's busy trying to make sure that this side expansion is covered. Of course, if this mothership, you could perhaps leave the mothership over here and do some attacks with the rest of the gateway forces and just recall if you get into trouble. But it looks as if he is going to try and push across. He is going to take the Zelnaga Watchtower and keep an eye on what's going on. Could see there's a few Hydras across in the top section there, the Banelings, and Infestors coming across. Looks as if they will get some good damage done, but the Infestors get taken down. As we said, energy units very important here, and Sickness is doing a fantastic job with his. I love that he's keeping some of these Templar in here. A lot of the time when you see a lot of Banelings and of course some of these Hydras, you'll think maybe I should get a couple more Archons, but if you keep the Storm there, Storm doesn't lose you anything apart from energy, which will regen quite quickly. So that's what we're sort of, that's what I was sort of mentioning regarding energy units in the late stage of the game. They're just sort of something where you're going to be able to make it very cost efficient for yourself without actually building anything with minerals or gas. You can create a deadly force. The Storms, of course, which tear apart Hydras, tears apart Banes and Lings, and of course the feedback, which helps out against Infestors. So I'm not sure what's going on here. It looks as if these drones are now just coming across. They're perhaps, okay, he's just sort of, he's rallied them up to make sure that they don't just waltz across through the middle of the map. So that's why there is this great migration of drones heading across down to the southern side of the map. They're now going to head up and across, and we'll see what happens there. Good storms on and feedbacks on the Overseers as well, trying to get rid of them. The mothership, I'm not sure how I like this. It's very precariously positioned here. She's sort of just out in the open. As we saw earlier on in the game, some Infestors have been wandering around trying to get some Neural Parasite going and dropping down some Infested Terrans at the 4th base, going to try and take that down. But here comes one of the Infestors going to try and see if he can grab the mothership, but she's a little bit out of range now. She's not as in the open as she was before. How about that for saturation? That's not too bad. That's 3 pages of drones. That's not oversaturated at all. But here we go. Sickness has spotted that there was an Infestor waddling around like a crazy penguin trying to find that mothership, and now he's moving into the middle. Wants to get rid of some of these units if he can. Colossi now in the mix again, so he's got 2 of those big boys, which is really going to help out. There is an Infestor, so he is in a good spot here. He does have to be careful. He finds the Infestor underneath the rest of his units there, so that's quite nice for Sickness, so he can get rid of those. Of course, every Infestor counts at this stage of the game, as we said, energy units. So the gas is still very low for our Zerg player, and in fact both players, whoa, mothership gets Vortex, Neuroparasited again. The Infestor gets taken, double Vortex does go down though, so is he going to attack? He is going to attack, but Ling's into the 4th base here. If he can take this out, that'd be quite nice, while the rest of the units are preoccupied being inside a black hole. But there goes the rest of Sickness. He's going to put Storms down. I'm not sure about that, but he does clean up the rest of the Lings, and doing a good job there, just holding that base. As we said, this base is very key here, and if he can keep it up, he'll keep himself in the game. If that goes down, he's in a very much dead position. but here he goes. He's now pushing across that map, going to clean out some of these creep tumors and the static defenses that were here as well. Two random lings get inside the 4th base again. They find a Templar. Is he going to be able to cloak up before he dies? Yes, he doesn't even die anyway, but another run by. Lots of lings. Trying to be efficient with these lings is our Zerg player here. He gets inside the main and, of course, the natural. There's not actually too much to try and kill inside the main, but the forces now coming back. Would rather just see the Colossus come back. I'm not sure if this is the best idea for Sickness to expose this 4th base again by sending all of his units across, but he does leave it, and it looks as if the lings are going to take down some of these buildings. They get inside the main, going to take down some of these gates, but Sickness not having any of it. Going to head across to Colossus, should be able to deal with all of these big static defenses here, but the 4th base is going to die. Nexus goes down. Fleet Bacon about to get fried. There it goes. And the rest of the Zerg force is now trying to push back across. He's going to take the Zelnaga Watchtower and see that there is a big amount of units here. The mothership perhaps a little exposed at the back. Are we going to see another Neural Parasite here? Would love to see it. Is he going to do it? Looks like a no for the moment. Wait. Burrow? No? Alright, he's not going to do it just yet. This is going to be very key to see if these units actually get across and are able to take down some of those Protoss forces, but the drones are able to retreat. Oh, you should say the majority of the drones able to get out of there, so Sickness does take the base down. This puts him a little bit more on an even keel, so it looks like Sickness has got his Great Wall is still up and is still extremely powerful. The Zerg just having a little bit of indecisiveness about what he's going to do here. Of course, these units are so powerful. The Archons, the Colossus, the one Void that is there, the Mothership at the back, and some Stalkers, and looks as if a Funk Growth goes down, just trying to hold up everything at the moment while the Zerg tries to figure out what's going on. Lings back inside, the Natural expand now, trying to find out if they can kill anything here, but he is going to be able to get rid of most of these tech structures. This is turning into a very, very odd position for both of these players. Now, just looking at what we've got on the unit counter, hang on, we'll get rid of the nameplate just for the moment. You know who's playing. 3 Ultras, 6 Broods, 6 Banes I should say, 5 Infestors, of course there's 1 Queen out as well, some Hydras and some Lings, so that's the army at the moment. Oh, Neural Parasite again, captures the Mothership, puts a Vortex down. Is he going to try and attack? Yes he is. Looks as if it's go time for the Zerg. Storm going down, protecting the side of the army here. I'm not sure. He either needed to attack in there or just stay back. That was not the time for indecision again from this Zerg player. So just looking at this army, as I said again, we've got a lot of Hydras, we've got some Ultras, some Lings, a couple of Infestors left over. Meanwhile, for Sickness, he's still got those 2 Colossi, we've got some Archons here, we've got 5 Archons total, and a few Templar with some good Storms, should be able to hold up everything and put himself in a good spot. The drones, long distance mining from this base, every single one of those drones has gone across. It is incredible to see 61 drones over at the base here, or perhaps not all of the 61, but close enough. And the Lings now just getting inside again. There's actually not much to do in here. I don't like that they've cornered themselves now. Would rather, as I said, that the Colossus are the ones who go after them, but it looks as if he spreads out the Lings, going to keep them in play just for the moment. And that sort of gives Sickness a little bit of a reprieve at the moment. So, as I said, Sickness is in this spot. He does not have minerals. He does not have a probe. He cannot replenish himself by building another Nexus anywhere. Unfortunately, he cannot recycle his Nexus. That would be quite funny if he could recycle the Nexus to get some more minerals back. But looks as if he is going to just... This is the point where he needs to be efficient with his army. Takes down the Changelings to make sure there's no vision for the Zerg. Where is the rest of the Zerg? He's got these drones long distance mining. He does have a tiny bit of a bank here at the moment. He's got a 480 mineral bank. There is only 27 gas because he has no real way to get gas. There is an extractor across the side, but I don't think that's going to be quite handy given how far away it is. So just sort of waiting to see what's going to happen here. Both of these guys in a very tense position. Again, the Zerg is trying to find an opening here where he can grab the Mothership, put a couple of Vortexes down, and just occupy the army. Does grab it again. Is he going to be able to put the Vortex down? Gets one Vortex. There is no energy for a second, so he will be okay for the moment. Where are the rest of the Zerg forces? He's sort of keeping them off to the side, but there we go. The Neural Parasite wears off, and he actually takes it again, so now we've got a cloaked Zerg army. We've got... cloaked ultras. That's just the most hilarious thing you'll ever see. But Sickness, what is he going to do here? The Parasite takes over again, but Storms is the order of the day, taking out a lot of those units, and in fact the Hydras have been put on very low HP. This could be the final battle. Here we go. We've got the Stalkers now just jumping in. The rest of the Protoss units are now cloaked, and that has put Sickness in a fantastic spot. He's still got all these powerful units, of course, as we can see on the supply count. He is at 67, so it's not as if he's in a normally winning position, but he does have all these power units, which equal quite a lot of what the Zerg has. Now, the Zerg has only got Lings, Banes, and there's one Infestor out on the map. There is a Queen as well, but of course, Queen's not really going to help at this point. Upgrades for the players, of course, as we've seen earlier. The Zerg on 3-3, Sickness on 3-2-3, so he'll be okay with that. And there is another Infestor sitting at the back, puts down the Neural Parasite, Vortex on everything there. The problem is, what is he going to do? He actually has no way to deal with this army. Like, he's got a lot of, okay, he's got a lot of drones. The drones are pretty good, but there is really nothing else that can actually do damage. So I think what Sickness needs to do, he's got 6 Stalkers left over, a couple of them in the red, so they're not exactly in the best of shape at the moment. They need to get some more fitness going. I would use the Stalkers to try and jump around the map and try and get some just some snipes on random units. Of course, you don't have to kill everything in one shot. You just need to keep everything alive for the moment, but he is going to just slowly push through. Is there an observer to find out where no, there isn't. There is no observer, but there is another Infestor that's just out here. In fact, that's the one from the start there, and he's going to perhaps try and get some of these units. But this is what I'm talking about. You need to just sort of utilize one of these groups of units. You need to either take the Colossus and try and find some of those extra little units on the ground that the Zerg player has. And here he goes. Neural Parasite on the Mothership again. Takes down... No, he doesn't. Feedback on the Mothership to make sure he cannot use a Vortex if there was one. And the Templar does get taken out. Not every day you see that happen, and the Infestor stays alive for the moment. So he is now going to push in. I think this is going to be the end of our Zerg play. As I said, no real way to deal with this Protoss army, and the Archons coming in with the Pimp Fist, of course, doing 47 damage to bio units, and the drones burrowing. They're hidden here, just trying to pretend that they're just a patch of minerals here, but the rest of the army gets taken out, and a Queen also just hiding there in her little cave. Don't tell anyone. But now Sickness is pushing across. He's just trying to make sure he can clean out. There are no surprises on the map at all, apart from these random Infestors that have been burrowed all over the place, and some Lings now trying to head inside, trying to get some damage done. But the problem is, what are you going to do against this? What are you going to do against this wall of cannons from Sickness? And he is going to try and take the Nexus down. This could be perhaps a revealing time for Sickness now if he loses that Nexus and the other one up in the Nat. But the rest of the Protoss units are now just moving in to this base. He just needs to take down some of these spine crawlers, and he's going to be able to waltz around the whole map undenied. And it looks as if the Ling's now going across the other base. He still does not have adrenal glands, and I think that is, while not a massive thing in the context of the game, because of course Lings don't necessarily win you large games, but that's perhaps been a little bit of a contributing factor. So still a little bit behind with that. Would have liked to see a little bit more switching going on from the Zerg. There were various times where he actually he made a switch, but it wasn't necessarily the best one. But Sickness is now walking through. He will be okay. The Mothership just hanging out in the open. She's just daring that the Infestor to come along, because there are 2 Templar here which will be able to storm and feedback the Infestor if it comes along. And in fact, here it goes. Infestor comes along. Is Sickness prepared? Yes, he is. Storm, bam, good night. Infestor goes down. Lings just trying to do what they can against the Mothership, but unfortunately, Lings cannot jump. And here go the rest of the forces pushing inside, cleaning up the rest of the Zerg tech, and that is going to be the end of our Red Zerg here today on Ohana. This has been a very sort of back and forth game, both players trying to just sort of keep their expansions going, and of course the Zerg player was not able to sort of get himself in sort of an advantageous position. Apart from the start where he did take out one of Sickness's armies, but it just wasn't enough, and here he goes. It looks as if he may try and attack into the Great Wall here, but the Lings have decided it's time to attack the rocks. This is Dust and Browner's fault, so they're going to get rid of those rocks, and that will probably be it. Sickness has now cleaned out all the tech, and there is the GG. So amazing game there from these two great players. Of course, both these guys are sort of Grandmaster level on the Korean server. As I said, shout out to inFdtG, Inferno D Dream Team Gaming, for the fantastic game that was sent through to me. And I hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers.